Haunted True Crime Podcast.
I'm your host, Nikki, and this is Tae.
Hello there. Historical haunts that are criminal in nature. Hi there, and welcome to the Haunted True Crime Podcast, where we talk about historical haunts that are criminal in nature. Get it?
I'm your host, Nikki, and this is Tae.
Hello there.
And we're going to be talking about the Borden house today.
It was August 4th, 1882, a stifling hot Thursday in Fall River, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts?
Sound super unsure about that. At about 11 a.m., when Bridget Sullivan, the Borden family's maid, heard Lizzie Borden screaming, "Come down quick! Father's dead! Somebody's come in and killed him!" I'm pretty sure she didn't yell it that happy. From below her third-floor bedroom, where she was lying down, recovering from an illness brought on by eating days-old, non-refrigerated mutton.
Ugh, that's disgusting.
Oh, it's really gross.
Oh.
Bridget arrived in the family room to find Lizzie standing in front of the sofa where Andrew Borden, her father's dead body, was lying. It is important to note later on that Bridget had said she saw Lizzie in a blue dress with no bloodstains on it. Bridget, called Maggie by the Borden sisters, allegedly because the former maid had been called Maggie, left to go get the doctor and returned a few minutes later with the, quote, young widow from next door, Miss Adelaide Churchill. Not far behind was Dr. Bowen, who had lived across the street from the Borden sisters since Lizzie was 12. He noted that Andrew was still warm to the touch and when he went to take a pulse. Not that it was pertinent to check for a pulse, considering the left side of Andrew's face had been hacked off by his killer. Sometime around this, Lizzie's friend Alice Russell also arrived. Andrew was found by Lizzie lying face up on the sofa in the family room, and in all the hustle and bustle, no one had seen Miss Abby Borden. Lizzie first insisted that her stepmother had received a note about an ill friend and had left a call on them that morning. But later, she thought she might have already arrived home and insisted that Bridget and Adelaide check upstairs for her. Bridget was naturally uneasy about this, just having found another dead body in the house. But eventually, the two women went up to search for her, and upon cresting the stairs, they saw the legs of Miss Borden poking out from the floor behind the bed in the guest bedroom that the Borden sisters' uncle, John Morose, had been staying in.
At the time of the murders, there were 6 people living at the Borden house. Abby and Andrew Borden, their daughters Lizzie and Emma, though it is important to note that Emma was staying out of town at the time of the murders. Bridget Sullivan, the maid, and John Morose, the brother of the deceased Sarah Borden, Lizzie and Emma's mother and Andrew's first wife. John, Abby, and Andrew all had breakfast that morning. Then John went off to visit a sick relative. Andrew went to the bank, and Abby stayed at the house. Abby asked Bridget to wash the downstairs windows, then went up to make the guest bed. It is estimated she was killed between 9 and 9:30 a.m. Andrew arrived home a little earlier than usual, around 10:40 a.m., and tried to enter through the side door. However, the door was bolted shut. Further, his key did not work in the front door either, but Bridget heard him trying to get in and unlocked the door. She went up to her bedroom and to lay down. Lizzie said she was in the yard around 11:15 a.m. when she heard a heavy fall and subdued groaning. She went inside to find her father dead on the couch. Interesting fact. Unlike what was said in the song, Andrew was hit 11 times and Abby around 18 or 19.
So, who did it? The first suspect and the most popular suspect is Lizzie Borden herself. Lizzie Andrew Borden, it's a really unfortunate name, was born on July 19th, 1860, to Sarah and Andrew Borden in Fall Rivers, Massachusetts. It is interesting to note that A, Lizzie was her birth name, meaning it's not short for anything. She wasn't Elizabeth or anything like that. And B, her middle name is her father's name, which is the unfortunate part of her name, which I don't believe was odd for that period of time. Just unfortunate. Lizzie was the third child. Emma, who was almost 10 years Lizzie's senior, and a child who I couldn't find out how old they were, but they had passed away when they were really young.
Gotcha.
Andrew Borden was a very wealthy man, worth somewhere between $7 to $12 million of today's value. He made his money in manufacturing and real estate, but being rich doesn't always mean living the high life, and Andrew was very stingy. His family lived in a home with no indoor plumbing or electricity, and yes, both existed during that time. In fact, families much less wealthy than his often had both amenities, if you can call them amenities. Sarah Borden died, and Andrew remarried when the girls were very young, and they grew up with their stepmother, Abby. Neither of the girls got along well with her, but they were said to be close with their father, and thus referred to Abby as mother just to please him. Emma, 41, and Lizzie, 32, were spinsters that lived at home with their father. And at the time, it would not have been socially acceptable for unmarried women of their stature to live on their own. Lizzie taught Sunday school at the Congregationalist church in the city. About 5 years before the murder, Lizzie and Abby had a falling out due to the fact that Andrew had purchased a home for Abby's half-sister instead of buying a home for his daughters, Emma and Lizzie. The girls resorted to calling Abby Miss Borden. But with that being said, it's important to note that once Emma and Lizzie inherited the estate of Andrew Borden, they purchased the new house on a hill in a nice neighborhood in Fall River, where they lived together until 1905, when Emma abruptly moved out and they never spoke again. In testimony that was ruled inadmissible, a pharmacist had said that Lizzie had tried to purchase a poison called prussic acid the day before the murder. I think this is used to kill rats, but also probably for a ton of other things in the 1800s. But she was told she could not do so without her father being present, so she had to go back and get his permission. It also seemed to be an odd story that both people could be killed in the Borden house with Lizzie around. She said she was outside at the barn at the time, getting an iron. I don't know what she was going to do with it. But
iron
during
clothes.
the time, maybe. I don't know why it's in the barn. But that's just me. But during the time of the murders, so that does seem kind of a little bit off. She wasn't really far from the house, and you kind of expect she would hear something. But Lizzie was also found with a pail of clothes soaking in blood later, but that was supposedly because she was menstruating. Bridget had also said, as we mentioned earlier, when she saw Lizzie right after discovering Andrew's body, there was no blood on her. And Lizzie's friend Alice, though, did see her burning a bloody dress in the week between her murder and the arrest. So that was a little suspicious. I'm just menstruating, so I'm going to burn my clothes. I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat, man. Lizzie was tried for the murder. She was indicted on December 2nd, 1892. Her trial took place in June of 1893, and she was acquitted on June 20th of 1893. Lizzie then remained in Fall River until June 1st, 1927, when she died.
Next suspect, John, the uncle. John as a suspect has somewhat risen to popularity due to a book written by a Massachusetts math teacher named Richard Little. The book, titled Cold Case to Case Closed, talks about how John was mysteriously missing between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. that day. His alibi was that he was visiting a sick relative down the road with the town doctor. But that same town doctor, Dr. Bowen, was attending to the bodies of the Borden family members from 11 a.m. on. Little goes on to share that Abby was in fact found in the bedroom that she had been staying in the night before. As for the motive, John was Andrew's first wife's brother. So Andrew's brother-in-law. And they had a failing livestock business together. It was also insinuated by Lizzie at the inquest that John knew about Andrew's will. Little also believes that John may have used a meat cleaver as he was a butcher by trade. And finally, we want to add that he was genuinely creepy looking dude.
He was very creepy. Suspect number 3 is Bridget Sullivan, the family's Irish maid. It is no secret that the Bordens weren't the kindest family, and Bridget got called Maggie allegedly because the Bordens couldn't bother to learn her name and simply referred to her as the name of the former maid, which would probably piss me off too. I'm not sure if I'd murder anyone, but I'd be real pissed off. The main reason why Bridget is on the list is because she was sleeping in the room just above where Abby Borden is murdered and admitted to not being fully asleep at the time of the murders. But I think it's important to point out that in the timeline that we researched, if it's correct, though it could be wrong because this case is incredibly convoluted and there's a lot of information out there, Bridget was in fact downstairs cleaning the window when Abby was murdered between 9 and 9:30 and didn't go upstairs until Andrew returned home after, around 10:40. With that said, the staircases in the Borden house were really confusing. There's one on each side. And the house wasn't really connected, so you had to, on the second floor, like walk through the rooms to get to the other side, except for there was one, like a block in the middle of what would have been Andrew and Abby's room and what would have been Lizzie's room. So you had to go up the one side of the stairs to get up to one side and the other side to get up to the other. So if you would have had to go up the side that the guest bedroom and Lizzie's bedroom was on, to get to Bridget's room, you would have seen Abby's dead body. But if she had to use the other side, she would have not seen any of that. And I'm not sure if there was like a separate servant staircase, which they sometimes had. I kind of think Andrew might have been too cheap to build one, but that's just me. So if they had a second staircase, a third staircase that went just up to the room where Maggie was, not Maggie, now I'm calling her Maggie. Bridget was living, then perhaps she didn't see anything. So depending on what staircase you took, and it might be suspicious, obviously, if she went up by the guest bedroom and didn't see anything because the legs were literally sticking out side of the bed. There are some really disgusting, grotesque pictures which we will put on the website if you're interested in looking. There is like a website with a map of the house. I will also put that up.
So the last suspect is a team of suspects, and that's Lizzie and Bridget together. There is some speculation that the two might have been romantically involved due to a crush/relationship Lizzie had on/with an actress named Nance O'Neill later in her life. Lizzie may have been gay, and it is speculated that perhaps Abby Borden caught the two lovers and was killed because of that, and Andrew was killed to cover that up. But it is important to note that there is no evidence of this theory, nor is there evidence that Lizzie was in fact gay. Though it is said that her relationship with aforementioned actress caused her sister to move out, and the two of them not have communicated for the last 20 or so years of their lives. Two more interesting side notes. The day before the murder, Abby went to the doctor and confirmed that she believed that one of Andrew's business rivals may have been poisoning the family. Also, you can purchase a replica of the axe head allegedly used by Lizzie Borden for $126.09 on Etsy, I think it was.
Just in case you're in the market. I need an axe head from Lizzie Borden, so I think I'm going to get myself one. So, I think that Lizzie did it. I'm not going to lie. We didn't present a ton of evidence because we have shorter podcasts, but generally speaking, I think Lizzie did it because it doesn't really make sense for anyone else to do it.
See, and it makes sense. I'm kind of on the fence because I kind of think John did it.
So, I thought of that too, except for that the doctor... I feel like the doctor would have been like, oh, wait, I wasn't with him. I know he said I was with him, but I wasn't with him.
But what if he threatened him so he didn't say anything?
I guess so. But let's pretend. Because at that point in time, they didn't want like a female to be involved. So don't you think that the doctor would have been like, fuck this man. You were murdering the Bordens when you were supposed to be hanging out with me. You know what I mean? Because I feel like he would have said something. Because I realized the doctor wasn't with him from like 11 to 12 or whatever when he showed up. But like, come on, they were dead by then.
But did they even confirm like a time that the doctor had actually seen John?
Well, see, here's the thing. I actually haven't read Little's book. I just found out about it today when I was like doing some like last minute like filling in of the blanks and whatever. So I actually don't know, and maybe I need to read Little's book. But I feel like wouldn't that be covered? Like, wouldn't that be part of your initial investigation? You're like, oh, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. We just know you didn't do it. We're not going to check any of your alibi. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We got this. We think Lizzie did it anyway. Like, I kind of think that would be something that they would be checking. If there was no relative in the area that he was visiting.
Or maybe they just wanted to pin it on one of the sisters because they said that they weren't a very pleasant family. And it was 1882.
But I don't think John was pleasant either. Like, it's not like he was the nicest out of the bunch of them. I think they were all kind of assholes, to be completely honest. And all the reports that I read, they kind of treated everyone else like crap.
Oh.
So,
fair enough.
John was a visitor. It's not like he lived with them all the time. He was just staying with them. I know him and Andrew had a business together, which I didn't really find any other information about that other than they had a business.
Yeah.
And it was failing. So, I mean, the money factor totally makes sense from the John perspective, but also from the Lizzie perspective, because she inherited all of the money, her and Emma, and then they immediately moved into a new house. Like, they like pieced the place, moved into like a rich neighborhood, which is where they wanted to live anyway, and like continued to like host parties at their house and shit. No one went to their parties because no one liked them, but I'm making that up. But anyway,
so that makes sense. She's like my number 2, but I still have a feeling that it could have been John.
But my other problem is one of the evidence pieces that, like the synopsis from Little's book that I read, the part that I did actually read, said that it was suspicious that John knew about the will, but I don't think John was in the will. I think he just knew about it. Like, you have a will? Okay, I'm going to kill you. Like, I don't know. I know about my dad's will. I'm not out, like, heading over there to, whatever. I just think it's kind of weird that that's, like, evidence for it. That he, might or might not have known that there was a will in the place. Like, He wasn't in the will as far as I know, unless maybe he was. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he did get a chunk of cash. Maybe he got
got their failing business.
Yes, score! Ooh,
I get to go bankrupt.
All by myself.
I guess maybe Lizzie, too, could have been getting sick of being sick from eating old mutton.
Yeah, no kidding. Weren't they all sick of it?
Ugh,
I do actually think that Lizzie might have been also gay. Like, there's not lots. That's wrong to say that there's lots.
They wouldn't have, in that time period, they wouldn't have come out and said they were gay.
Yeah, no, there's no way she would, like, it was not socially acceptable at all, but I kind of think that she would, that she was, because there was a Nance O'Neill, there's this actress that she knew, that she did have, like, a very close friendship with, and it is, insinuated that perhaps the reason why her sister moved out of their house is because she had this relationship with Nance O'Neill, and in 1905 her sister was like, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. Like, so they literally apparently did not talk for the rest of their lives. Like, Lizzie died alone in 1927 or whatever.
Or maybe because they were all so sick.
Or
they were just crazy.
I mean, I kind of think that maybe
all of them.
They stopped talking in 1905 because Lizzie was like, oh yeah, by the way, I did kill our parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'd be like, ooh.
Yeah, see ya.
So I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Totally cool and all. Love the new house.
Not going to rat you out because you're my sister.
Don't think it's a big deal.
Water under the bridge.
Already went to trial. It's totally fine. But I think I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah.
Because that seems like the safest place for me to be. Anyway, I think it's one of those things, though, that's an unsolved mystery, and it's probably never going to be solved because all of the people are dead.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one alive to be like, oh, yeah, so. And on her deathbed, Bridget Sullivan didn't say anything about Lizzie Borden, like, after, because Bridget, I believe, died after Lizzie did. I could be wrong about that. But she never said anything about Lizzie. And I kind of think that if Lizzie did kill them, I kind of think Bridget was aware of it, because I can't see how it could possibly go on in the house without the
Bridget
maid knowing.
picking up.
Like, there was 2 people home besides the victims. There was 2 people home, Bridget and Lizzie. I think they both would have had to know, because at some point Bridget would have had to like walk by a body. I think maybe not. Anyway. So we didn't find a ton of ghost stories from the Borden house, although you can go there and there are lots of like videos of paranormal investigations in the house where they're like have the night vision cameras and the EFP readers. I think I made that up.
Sounds legit.
I think it's an EMF reader. But anyway, super good at ghost stories and hunting and stuff. We did find like 2 small stories, and then we did find an excerpt from a website called prairieghost.com, which I'm throwing that in there because we literally are going to take it word for word, and it's like 3 paragraphs long. It's really not that long. So I just want to give them credit for that awesome story. So the first 2 ghost stories we found say as follows. Allie, who visited the house, said going to the house was a great experience. I was very interested in the stories and pictures. I went on the tour, not stayed overnight, and I was going through the house with my guide, and I thought I saw somebody on the stairs near the front door. I told my dad, and he said my mind was playing tricks on me. I do want to note that even though I didn't include it in the script, the next person who commented was like, you definitely saw something. And I was like, okay. Glad you were there. And in 2015, Barbara said that I just spoke to my friend in PA tonight, and I think PA is Pennsylvania. I think I know. Who stayed there years ago in the Bridget room. She told me she woke in the middle of the night, and she felt as if someone was sitting at the end of the bed. She evidently turned on the light and could see depression where they were sitting. I don't think evidently is the word she was looking for there. Well, no, let it slide.
Guests and staff members alike have had their share of strange experiences in the house. Some have reported the sounds of a woman weeping, and others claim to have seen a woman in Victorian-era clothing dusting the furniture and straightening the covers on the beds. Occasionally, this even happens when the guests are still in the bed. Others have heard the sounds of footsteps going up and down the stairs and crossing back and forth on the floor above, even when they know the house is empty. Doors open and close as well, and often muffled conversations can be heard coming from inside of otherwise vacant rooms. One man who had little interest in ghosts claimed that he accompanied his wife to the inn one night and took their luggage upstairs. The room had been perfectly made up when he entered, the bed smooth and everything put in its place. Over the course of a few minutes of unpacking, he happened to look over to the bed again and saw that it was now rumpled, even though he was in the room alone and had not been near it. He also noticed that the folds of the comforter had been moved so that they corresponded to the curves of a human body. On the pillow, there was an indentation in the shape of a human head. His wife found him a few minutes later sitting in the downstairs sitting room. His face was very pale and seemed quite nervous. When she asked him what was wrong, he took her back upstairs to show her the strange appearance of the bed. However, when he opened the door, the pillow had been plumped and the comforter looked just as it did when he first entered the room where Abby Borden had been murdered.
I'm like slightly curious why his wife was sleeping in a different room than him. But that's just me.
Yeah.
That story, though, was from prairiecoast.com. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Do you have a ghost story to share about Lizzie Borden house? Email it to us at stories@thehauntedpodcasts.com to get it in the Lizzie Borden house listener episode.
Okay, so let's say you're totally convinced and you have to go visit the Lizzie Borden house. You absolutely cannot plan another year vacation without going to the Lizzie Borden house. Well, let us tell you how to plan your trip. The Lizzie Borden house is located at 230 2nd Street, Fall River, Massachusetts. And I am totally aware I have no idea how to say that properly. Quote, apart from the bloody murder all those years ago, their hospitality is impeccable. Or so says their tagline. I kind of love that. If you want to visit the Borden house, you have two options. You can stop by for a tour, or you can spend the night. You can also meet the quote, official psychic of the Borden house, quote, unquote, a Lucky Bellacamino, might be her name, who can give you a spiritual / psychic reading, or you can join her on a ghost hunting adventure, only on specific days though. A ghost hunt adventure with Lucky will set you back about $75, and they are limited to 10 people, so you gotta book early. Or you can just pick a tour, which is $20 for a regular adult ticket. We're going to get into reviews in a bit here, but I saw quite a few commented that $20 was a lot for a tour. And to that, I'd like to say name 5 tours that are legit cool and less than $20. I'm dead serious. I find it to be a pretty reasonable price.
I agree with you.
I don't think I've ever been on a tour that was less than $20. And I don't really care what it is. As for staying in the museum itself overnight, we priced at a one-night stay on a Saturday in May 2018. This way we could see all of the room options. And here's what you found. No, we found it, not you. Here's what we found. You can actually rent out the whole house, which sleeps 20 people, for $1,645.50 US.
For one night?
For one night.
Wow.
$1,600 for one night. Plus or minus a little bit. Or you can stay in one of the following rooms for the following prices. The John Morose room can fit up to 3 people for $329.10. The Lizzie and Emma suite for 5 people for $521.08. The Andrew and Abby suite for up to 5 people for $548.50. The Bridget Sullivan room for 3 people for $274.25. And the Andrew Jennings room, I don't know what this is, for up to 3 people for $274.25. And the Horsia Knowlton room, I also don't know what that is, for up to 3 people for $274. All of the rooms appear to cost less if you have less people. So if you don't have 3 people in a room, it's not going to cost the cost for 3 people. And you can also rent out 4x4 if you have more people but aren't interested in renting out the entire house. Our rooms have shared facilities and come with the $18.92 breakfast, pending you make it through the night. And let's hope that is not non-refrigerated mutton.
Oh, God.
That would be disgusting. Finally, all overnight guests get a slightly more in-depth tour included in their reservation costs.
Before you go book your stay, we pulled out a few, maybe helpful, maybe not, reviews for you. Overall, the house and experience have a 4.5 out of 5-star rating on TripAdvisor. And here are a few things people had to say. All right, so we have Alan G. from Johnston, Rhode Island, says, "Today I went on the tour with my daughter and sister. We all had a great time, learned a lot as Danielle really knew her Lizzie history." I'm assuming that's the tour guide.
Yeah, me too. I was like, or the sister or the daughter, I guess. Could be anyone.
Yep. I highly recommend going on the tour. The house is set up exactly as it was the day of the murders, so you get the real feel for the events as they are described. Thank you all so much, and gave the tour a 5 out of 5.
Miss Artsy Craftsy wasn't a big fan, giving her review a 2 out of 5, saying, "A strange place with a strange story. We're $16. Nope. In brackets, senior rate." About an hour visit that could have taken half hour. Who done it without an answer? Nice tour guide, but think telling the same tale has lost excitement for him. He's tried hard, but a story is a story. If in the area, go, but I doubt you would be wowed. Stay there? No, never. Very creepy. Not because of the history, but the place is icky. This person is clearly someone who does not appreciate true crime history. That is what I'm getting. A story is a story. Sure it is.
Yeah.
And I love how she adds a whodunit without an answer. Well, it is an unsolved murder. So that's like a thing.
And I'm sure they explain that in the tour. I'm
pretty sure they tell you that.
In their review titled An Entertaining Experience, Scarlet2206 said that today we toured the Lizzie Borden house with Sue V. She was knowledgeable, entertaining, and respectful when recounting the murders of Andrew and Abby Borden. She led us through each room, detailing its historical significance. She gave us time to take pictures, ask questions, and included some of her personal experiences from working there. Based on today's I would highly recommend checking this place out, as it's totally worth the price. Not only would I go back for a tour, I would wholeheartedly consider spending the night. Thank you so much for the educational yet super entertaining experience. She gave it a 5 out of 5 in October of this year. 2017.
Oh, yeah, 2017. Yeah. Michael R's experience was so-so, giving it a 3 out of 5. He said, an organized start, as they sold too many tickets. Then, the tour guide was absent-minded and coughed a lot. An interesting complaint. Not many mentions of the paranormal, which is why we went. Some of the info put out was not factual. Checked off the bucket list. So there's that. I'm super happy.
Well, maybe the tour guide was just sick. Give him a break. All right, so we have Island Native 725 says the experience was eerily entertaining, giving it a 5 out of 5. Our tour guide, Sue. Oh, was that the same Sue as before?
I think it might have been.
Oh.
Apparently Sue is good.
Sue is great.
I'd like to tour with
Make
her.
sure you get Sue.
I'm gonna request
Sue V, to be exact.
In case you need the extra information. In case there's multiple Sues that work there.
You never know. I mean, how many tour guides do they need? They might need...
I don't know. I saw a lot of names of tour guides when we were looking through these.
Perfect.
Lots and lots.
All right. So she said, or he, doesn't, I don't know. They.
We'll go with
They said, our tour guide Sue was fantastic, so well informed, and kept our attention. We toured the entire house, which looks exactly what it would have looked like then. The history about the family was interesting, and although Lizzie was acquitted, after the tour you realized, I did anyway, that she committed that horrendous crime.
Ooh, I think I win.
Maybe. On the tour, you see actual crime and autopsy photos, and although the sofa that her father was murdered on is a replica, it's in the same place as it was then. And you visit the room where her mom was murdered. In there is an actual crime photo of the murder. The room looks the same. It's a beautiful B&B, and staying there overnight would be eerie. However, I'm going back to do so. I highly recommend this tour, and doing it during the Halloween season is the best time.
All in all, the reviews for both the tours and the overnight stays were pretty positive. Unfortunately, we have not had the opportunity to visit ourselves. But I did read somewhere that they kind of just like leave you there overnight. Like they're like, okay, bye. See you tomorrow. We'll serve you breakfast. So while it's not a recommendation per se, I do think we would definitely go there ourselves. What do you think?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm in. That's like a thing we're doing. Well, there you have it. That is the story of Lizzie Borden, the very quick story of Lizzie Borden and her house. If you have haunted true crime cases that you think we should cover, hit us up at stories@thehauntedpodcast.com with an S and a the. If you haven't had an opportunity to check out our other podcast, Haunted History, you definitely should. Last week we dropped an episode on the Queen Mary, and next week we'll be talking about Cedar Point.
If you have a ghost story to share about your experience at the Borden house, or any other story for that matter, send it our way via email at stories@thehauntedpodcasts with an S podcast@thehauntedpods.com. We are cool with audio or text-based messages, and we'd love to get it into a mini listener episode.
You can find us online at thehauntedpodcast.com. I guess we'll spell it out because we haven't yet. It's TheHauntedPodcasts.com. Just going to throw that out there. On Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Haunted Pods. And on all of your other favorite podcasting, and all of your favorite podcasting apps. I'm guessing you don't need recommendations for podcasting apps because you're currently listening to this, but that's just me. If we are missing any podcasting apps that you would like to hear us on, just let us know.
If you love the show, please give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast app. Yes, we are going to be those podcast hosts and asking you to review us because
rate it.
This helps other people find us and spread the word. To help properly incentivize you, when we get to 100 reviews, we will throw you out a bonus episode. So review away and spread the word, please.
If giving us a rating is not enough, join us on Patreon. We are currently working on building a membership package for those of you interested, and you can sign up there. If you have an idea of something you'd like to see in the membership package, please hit us up on your favorite social network or send us an email at stories@thehauntedpodcast.com. This will also help us increase the frequency of episodes. Right now, we are releasing one every 2 weeks. If you'd like to see this at a weekly basis, sign up today.
Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to catching up with you in our next podcast when we cover the XXX. What?
I didn't put in the episode. I think it's going to be... Okay. Hey guys, I know you missed us. In case you are wondering, we are not sponsored by anyone. We are not sponsored by Booking.com, Expedia, travel, whatever website. TripAdvisor, is that the one we use?
Oh, yeah.
We simply use things that we find on the internet. So just wanted to give a little disclaimer at the end of the podcast. Probably not listening to it, and that's totally fine. I think our asses are still covered then. But we find all of ourselves, we free source it on the internet, and that is that. So we do not express any opinion of anyone else, just kind of our own, because we feel like it. Sorry. Catch you later.